Alright, it is time for my 2021 Beach Ball Classic prediction, so that's what I'm going to do in today's video. But before I get into this video, a lot of you that watch these videos are not subscribed, so get your life together. Hit that subscribe button, turn notifications, and leave a like on this video. Subscribe, turn notifications, and leave a like, and let's go ahead and get into this video with my 2021 Beach Ball Classic predictions 1.0. Now, there might be like a 2.0, 3.0, but as of right now, just 1.0. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do in today's video. So, the first team is a team that I think will return to the Beach Ball. Well, they will return to the Beach Ball Classic. They've announced that they will return to the 2021 Beach Ball Classic, and that is the Milton Eagles, who won the 2020 Beach Ball Classic and returned most of their team from last year, and they have already announced they will return to the 2021 Beach Ball Classic, like I said. They made it to the Geico Nationals for the 2020-2021 season, which is pretty much the high school basketball playoffs, as a number 6 seed, and should end up as a should be a top 10 team for next season in high school basketball as well. They did end up losing to IMG Academy in Florida in the Geico Nationals. Cannon Carlisle and Bruce Thornton will return to the Milton roster next season. Some of the top prospects in the 2022 and 2023 class. So yeah, the Milton Eagles out of Georgia, Milton, Georgia, will return to the Beach Ball Classic. They had a 28-2 record in 2020-2021 and played a pretty tough schedule as well. Next team, another team that returns to the Beach Ball Classic in 2021, that's the Hurricanes of Bishop McLaughlin Catholic High School in Spring Hill, Florida. They're invited to return to the 2021 Beach Ball Classic. They finished with a 22-7 record in 2020 and 2021. Bishop McLaughlin was a last-minute addition to the 2020 Beach Ball Classic, finished in 6th place, lost the 5th place game to Archbishop Moeller from Cincinnati, Ohio. Will return most of their team from last year, including Dylan Mitchell, Emmanuel Sharp, and more. They have been invited to return to the 2021 Beach Ball Classic. Finished with a 22-7 record last season. Like I said, it made it all the way to the state championship game, but they did end up losing to Calvary Christian out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, who was also in the 2020 Beach Ball Classic. Now we're getting into some new teams into the Beach Ball Classic. Next is the Panthers of Dr. Phillips High School in Orlando, Florida. Dr. Phillips is a new team that has never been in the Beach Ball Classic. They finished with a 24-3 record last season, playing a very tough schedule, playing teams like Mount Bird Academy, Oak Ridge, Bishop McLaughlin, Andrew Jackson, and more. The Panthers finished with a 24-3 record last season, so a really good record. Yeah. Next team is the Hurricanes of Hightower High School out of Missouri City, Texas. They are a new team that has never been in the Beach Ball Classic once again. The Hurricanes finished with a 17-3 record in the 2020-2021 season. Not playing the best of competition, I will say. But, yeah, they have one of the top prospects in the class of 2022 in Bryce Griggs. So, yeah, Hightower is the next team. Next team is a very good team here, and it is the White Tigers of Central Point Christian Academy High School in Kissimmee, Florida, who finished with a 30-5 record in 2020 or 2021. Another team to the Beach Ball Classic that has never been in the Beach Ball Classic. The Central Point Christian Academy White Tigers from Kissimmee, Florida. They got some big wins this year over West Oaks Academy in Florida, who won the 2020 Winter Jam, Our Savior Lutheran in New York, Trinity International, Nevada. At a point, the White Tigers made it into the top 25 high school basketball teams in 2020-2021 season. They played a very tough schedule, and they finished with a 30-5 record in the 2020-2021 season. Next is the Seahawks of Myrtle Beach High School in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, obviously. They are not very good, but they're in every Beach Ball Classic. Just like SOCASTEE, they're also from South Carolina. The Seahawks finished with a 9-10 record in the 2020-2021 season. Last year, their best player was Aiden Hickman, a senior, who they will lose. They last year got big wins over North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, Hartsville, South Carolina, Hartsville High School in South Carolina, Darlington High School in South Carolina as well. Next, another team that returns to the Beach Ball Classic, the SOCASTEE Braves from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, finished with a 6-11 record in 2020. They've been in every Beach Ball Classic and most likely will return to the 2021 Beach Ball Classic. They last year got big wins over Shura High School in South Carolina, who was in the 2020 Beach Ball Classic, and Georgetown High School in South Carolina. Next is the Bengals of BLYTHEWOOD High School in BLYTHEWOOD, BLYTHEWOOD, something like that, South Carolina. They finished with an 8-6 record in 2020. They played some pretty decent teams as well. They were actually supposed to be in the 2020 Beach Ball Classic, but I think they will be in the 2021 Beach Ball Classic. They finished the 2021 season with a 8-6 record. They played a pretty tough schedule, playing teams like Combined, Academy in North Carolina, Cardinal Newman, South Carolina, Legend Collegiate Academy in South Carolina, Keenan, South Carolina. Last season, they also got big wins over Cardinal Newman, Legend Collegiate, Northwestern. They also will return the best player in South Carolina in that 2022 class in Julian Phillips. Next is the Gales of Bishop Gorman High School. They were going to be in the Beach Ball Classic before COVID happened last year in 2020. The Gales will lose Will McLennan and Zayon Collins, who are seniors this year. Bishop Gorman this year has not been able to have a season due to Nevada canceling their high school basketball season, but you should still expect Bishop Gorman to be good as they always are. Next is another new team, and it's the Covenant Day School. The Lions of the Covenant Day School in Matthews, North Carolina will be a new team in the Beach Ball Classic. They've never been in the Beach Ball Classic. They have one of the top 2023 prospects in Aiden Holloway, who's ranked number 50 in the 24/7 Sports New rankings for the 2023 class. Covenant Day School, it finished with a 8-11 record last season, playing a tough schedule. They play teams like Moravian Prep, North Carolina, the Burlington School from North Carolina, Cano School from North Carolina. The Lions were in a pretty tough conference as well last season. So yeah, next is, I'm pretty sure there's never been a team from Kansas. Maybe I'm not positive that. But there is a team this year, and it is going to be the Bishop Stags of Bishop. I don't know how to pronounce their other name. It's spelled MIEGE. High School in Shawnee Missions, Kansas will be a new team in the Beach Ball Classic. They have never been in the Beach Ball Classic. They finished with a 22-1 record last season. This team features one of the top prospects in 2022, Mark Mitchell. They won a state championship in Kansas as well last season. Yeah, they weren't playing the best of competition, but still, that 22-1 still pretty impressive. Next team is a team that usually does play some pretty good competition, and that is the Our Savior Lutheran Falcons from Bronx, New York. They are also a new team to the Beach Ball Classic. They have not had much of a season in the 2020-2021 season, minus playing at the grind session and losing to AZ Compass Prep twice. Central Point Christian, who's also in the Beach Ball Classic from what I'm predicting, but they did get a huge win against West Oaks Academy in Florida. Next is the Elks of Centerville High School in Centerville, Ohio. They finished with a 26-3 record and won a state championship in Ohio last season. They have one of the top prospects in the 2023 class in Gabe Cupps. They got huge wins over St. Edward in Ohio, Moeller, and Mentor, Ohio. So they got some big wins last season. So yeah. Now to the next team, I'm going to go with the Bishop O'Dowd Dragons of Bishop O'Dowd High School. The Dragons of Bishop O'Dowd High School in Oakland, California. They have not had a season. They'll have a spring season in California. They have a top prospect in the 2023 class, Jalen Lewis, on their team, and should be pretty good in 2020-2021 when their season actually happens. Next is the Dolphins of Cape Henry Collegiate High School in Virginia Beach, Virginia. They finished with an 11-0 record in the 2020-2021 season and won a state championship last season and finished the season ranked number 4 in Virginia by Max Preps. And our final team is our next and final team is the Eagles of Brentwood Academy High School in Brentwood, Tennessee. They finished with a 21-4 record in the 2020-2021 season. They got huge wins last season over the Inworth School, Tennessee, Christian Brothers, Tennessee, Sky Clark actually transferred to Brentwood Academy last season and then transferred again to Ensworth School in Tennessee. Interesting fact there. The Eagles lost in the state championship game, but a great run for the Eagles in their 2020-2021 season. Also, if you're wondering about the Winter Jam, that will be in another video in the future. Now, I simulated, used random.org or whatever the heck it's called. And yeah, so here are the matchups. First matchup is the BLYTHEWOOD Bengals from South Carolina versus the Brentwood Academy Eagles from Tennessee. So this is a very interesting matchup here. BLYTHEWOOD is a team that I just don't know. I don't think I can pick them over Brentwood Academy. So I have Brentwood moving on. Myrtle Beach versus Our Savior Lutheran. This is a pretty easy matchup. Our Savior Lutheran should definitely beat them. This is an interesting matchup, though, here. The Bishop O'Dowd Dragons from California versus Cape Henry Collegiate, Virginia. These are both some pretty solid teams here. I think I'm going to go with O'Dowd, though. Next is Bishop McLaughlin versus Milton, Georgia. This is a very interesting matchup as well. I'm going to go with Milton, though. SOCASTEE, Dr. Phillips. Dr. Phillips will probably run them out of the building. Next is Bishop Gorman versus Centerville, Ohio. This should be a good matchup as well. Bishop Gorman's always good. But you've got Centerville, too, who's an up-and-coming team, and I'm going to go with Bishop Gorman, though. Covenant Day versus Hightower. This is an interesting matchup. Two teams that, Hightower has the better record, obviously, but I'll probably go with Hightower there. Central Point Christian versus Bishop MIEGE, Kansas. I think I'm going to go with Central Point Christian here. All right, now moving on to the second round matchups. You've got Brentwood Academy from Tennessee versus the Our Savior Lutheran Falcons from New York. I'm going to go with Our Savior Lutheran here. Next is Milton versus Bishop O'Dowd. I'm going to go with Milton. Dr. Phillips versus Bishop Gorman. I'm going to go with Dr. Phillips. Why not a bit of an upset here? Central Point versus Hightower. I think this is more towards the blowout. Central Point Christian wins. Next is the losers bracket. BLYTHEWOOD versus Myrtle Beach. I think BLYTHEWOOD wins. Cape Henry Collegiate versus Bishop McLaughlin. Cape Henry just gets a bad break in the first two rounds, having to face Bishop McLaughlin and Bishop O'Dowd. So yeah, they lose this one though. SOCASTEE, Centerville. I'm going to go with Centerville. Covenant Day versus Bishop MIEGE. I'm going to go with Bishop Bishop MIEGE. Next to the third round matchups, we'll start with the losers. The losers that won in the first round but lost in the second round. Brentwood versus Bishop O'Dowd. I think Bishop O'Dowd wins. And Bishop Gorman versus Hightower. I think Bishop Gorman wins. Next, going on to the losers bracket, BLYTHEWOOD, South Carolina versus Bishop McLaughlin. Bishop McLaughlin wins this one. Centerville versus Bishop MIEGE. I've got the Centerville Oaks. Moving on. Now to the winners. We're down to the final four teams that can make it to that championship game for the 2021 Beach Ball Classic. You've got the first matchup being the Milton Eagles from Milton, Georgia versus Our Savior Lutheran from Bronx, New York. And then you've got Dr. Phillips from Florida versus Central Point Christian from Florida. So I'm going to go with Milton here. I think Milton beats Our Savior Lutheran, not by much at all. And Dr. Phillips versus Central Point, I think I'm going to go with Central Point Christian. Now, we've got our Constellation Championship, 5th place game, 3rd place game, championship game. So the Constellation Championship will be between the Hurricanes of Bishop McLaughlin Catholic High School in Spring Hill, Florida versus Centerville Elks of Centerville, Ohio. So Bishop McLaughlin, I think they're going to be much better next season, especially considering the fact that they will return their best players in Dylan Mitchell and Emmanuel Sharp next season. I think they'll be much improved, especially considering the competition that they do play in Florida, facing teams like Calvary Christian, a bunch of very, very good teams the Hurricanes face. But you've also got Centerville, who has a pretty tough conference to go through. Like I said, they got big wins over St. Edward, Moeller, Mentor, who all appeared in the top 50 for Max Preps at some point. But I'm going to go with Bishop McLaughlin here. I think they win the Constellation Championship. Next, the 5th place game here is going to be between the Dragons of Bishop O'Dowd High School versus the Bishop Gorman Gales of Las Vegas, Nevada. I think this is a tough one because Bishop Gorman, you don't really know what they have without Will McClendon, Zion Collins, but I still think I'm going to take Bishop Gorman here winning that game. Next is the 3rd place game between Our Savior Lutheran from New York versus Dr. Phillips from Florida. This is an interesting matchup because both teams have experience versus pretty good teams, and I think I'm going to take Dr. Phillips though. Now to the championship game. You've got Milton Eagles from Milton, Georgia versus the Central Point Christian Academy White Tigers of Florida. So now with Central Point, they got some big wins this year over West Oaks, Our Savior Lutheran Trinity. But you've got the Milton Eagles too, who play a very tough conference in Georgia. They won the 2020 Beach Ball Classic and returned most of their team. And, I mean, this team plays some good competition. I mean, let's go ahead and look at both teams' schedules because they're stacked with good teams, if we're being honest. All right, so for Milton here. For Milton, I'm trying to pull it up on Max Preps. Okay, so their 3 losses came to Mickey Charon, Sandy Creek, and IMG. So some big wins came versus Pebblebrook, Berkmar to win the state championship in Georgia. You've also got, they beat Wheeler, which is a big win. They beat Calvary Christian Academy. They beat Houston from Tennessee. They beat Norcross, Grayson. They beat a lot of good teams, and Berkmar again. So Milton's a very good team here. Now let's look at Central Point Christian from Kissimmee, Florida. I mean, they got big wins over Victory Rock Prep, West Oaks. They played Downey Christian too, Victory Rock Prep again, Our Savior Lutheran, Trinity, Tennessee Prep, AZ Compass. They did lose to Florida State University High School. They lost to or won versus Prolific Prep. They lost to IMG. They lost to. But overall, they had a very good season, beating West Oaks multiple times. So yeah, for the 2021 Beach Ball Classic winner, I think Milton's a very good team. I just don't know that I can really pick them 2 years in a row to win it. So I think I'm going to go with Central Point Christian Academy from Kissimmee, Florida. So Central Point Christian Academy is a very good team. Can they beat Milton? I don't know. But same 2 states in the state championship, Beach Ball Classic championship, 2 years in a row which is kind of interesting. 2 teams from Georgia and Florida once again. So yeah, that's going to be the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and turn notifications because like I said, if a lot of you that watch these videos are not subscribed, get your life together, hit that subscribe button, turn notifications, and leave a like. Thank you for watching, and peace.